my name's Chastity.
And my name's Hannah.
Welcome back to Bookish Babes. Today we will be giving you our October reading wrap-up. So, let's get started.
The first book I read in October is Mudvayne by Tarryn Fisher. Now this is one that I've started a couple months ago, I think like back in June or July. Found some things about it rather, like I said, triggering, as the youth say. And I had to put it down and eventually came back to it. I actually listened to it on audiobook to finish it. I felt like that would maybe be a little bit more mild for me because I could do other things while I was listening, and it worked out really, really well that way. And I really liked it. It was totally not what I know. It's one of your favorites of all time. It's like your favorite of all time, isn't it?
It's like, well, they're definitely up there.
Yeah.
It's like
it's
what,
so not what I thought it was gonna be.
The way I say it's my soul book. Like
yes.
It's very.
So basically this one starts out with a girl named Senna waking up in a remote cabin in like the middle of nowhere with no knowledge of how she got there. But that's not, the whole book doesn't take place in the cabin, and that's what was so shocking to me. I thought the whole book was going to be there, but it's actually told in 3 different parts. The first part is in the cabin, the second part is what led up to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the third part is also in the cabin, but it kind of shows the aftermath, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say too much because I feel like I liked it so much because I went into it without a lot of information, so that's all I'm gonna say.
Same. I really went into it blind. Mm-hmm. That was my first one that I read by Tarryn Fisher,
yeah.
And I had just, it was a really weird way that I found it, but I found it because of Colleen Hoover, and I was really interested because my mom's favorite band was Mudvayne, so I was like, there's a book titled this, I have to read it.
Yeah.
But I totally went in blind. Would you rate it?
5. Obviously, it's a Tarryn book.
For sure. So the first one that I read is The Vampire Lestat by Anne Rice, which is kind of shocking, I know, because I rave and rave and rave about Interview with the Vampire.
Yes, I love Interview with the Vampire.
And
I've never read that one though either.
I actually think like I was too young when I read Interview with the Vampire the first time.
I was pretty young too.
So I read it several times like over throughout the years, but like I feel like when I was adult, like just recently, it took on like a different meaning.
Yeah.
Like I understood it a lot more.
Yeah.
And reading The Vampire Lestat threw me. Just threw me. Because everything that I thought I knew about the Vampire Lestat, wrong. Like the entire book, I was just like, what? Lestat thinks like this. Lestat does this. His whole backstory, so interesting, so much closer to the way Louis views life. I'm like, excuse me? How did we get here? Also, there are like new characters that I'm real obsessed with. By the way, I'm currently reading Queen of the Damned because I continued. I need to know what happens.
Yeah.
So definitely like a 5 out of 5 for me, and I've been kicking myself for not reading them sooner.
So, going off the vampire theme, I guess, I reread New Moon. I was in a Twilighty mood this month. I'm not going to say much about New Moon because, honestly, at this point, I'm sorry.
When are you not in a Twilighty mood?
Yeah, I tend to reread the series at least once a year, but I space it. Like, I don't read them all 4 at once. And I was just feeling New Moon this month. It's my favorite in the series. We have some qualms about that.
Whatever.
Because I love the Volturi, and I love the introduction to them and the imagery in Italy. And I love
like, I did
getting
those
to
parts,
know
but,
Jacob as a character. I feel like this is the first time we really get to see him as a character, and the wolves. So yeah, I do love this one. And yeah, it's, I don't know what else to say about it. At this point, if you don't know about Twilight, it's by choice, so I'm just not going to say anything else.
That's good, okay. So the next one I read was Teophilia's Guide to Saving the Sun by Cynthia A. Rodriguez. This one was not what I was expecting, like at all.
What's it about? I've never heard of it. I remembered it.
This is one of those, like, it starts when they're younger. They're like best friends.
Is it a romance?
Yes.
I need to read it. I love those ones.
He becomes a musician.
Oh.
And it's just not what I was expecting. I freaking loved it. But I mean, after you just heard me say all of that, what were you expecting me to say? No, this was my second one, no, third, by Cynthia. And I freaking love her writing. She's got a new one coming out too. I do. I love her writing. You have about her. To read it.
I'm gonna get to it. I'm just gonna reread Twilight this month.
No.
The next book / books I'm gonna talk about is actually a series of 4 books. And it's called the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. Now, I've been wanting to read this and the Briar U series. They're actually kind of related. You'll understand once you read them, because she's gonna read them. I'm being presumptuous.
When you read Cynthia Rodriguez, I will read those.
Okay. The first one is The Deal, and that's about Hannah and I only remember it because it's my name. It's either Graham or Garrett, and I can't remember, but
Greg.
Loved
George.
it. The second one, I can't remember who the second one was about. I don't remember their names. I remember the story. Oh, Logan and Grace. She's the freshman. I just remember her as the freshman. And the third one is about, so they're all companion novels. And basically it's all these like, they're I don't know if they're in a frat, but they all play for the same hockey team. And so you move around the guys. Like the first one's about Garrett. The second one's about Logan. And like, maybe I feel like I'm not describing this well.
I'm having a really hard time following your thought process.
It's like the Rosemary Beach series.
Okay,
yeah.
But you also said you move around the 5 guys.
You do. You do. One book is about one guy and a girl, and then the next book you move on to like a different hockey player.
Okay,
and yeah.
So they're companion novels.
Yeah. So
but
what I will say,
all amongst the team.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I was having a really hard time following your thought process.
So sorry. I just think everybody knows what I know. I will say the first 3 were like easily 4 or 4.5 stars for me. The last one was a 2-star. I hated it. You might like it. I hated it. Because we differ a lot on books. Okay. You might like it. I despised it. I almost gave it a 1 star. The only reason I didn't was because I love the dynamic between the hockey guys, and it always cracks me up. But I didn't connect with the characters. I didn't buy their connection with each other. I didn't like the storyline. I felt like there was a lot of things that didn't make sense. Like, I'm not going to spoil anything too much for anybody who hasn't read it, but like especially the whole aspect with his mom hating her. If you've read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It was so out of character, and it wasn't really ever truly explained. And I was at the end, I was just like, that's it. And I had to force myself to get through it. Yeah, it was not it. I did not enjoy it. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like I said, I only gave it a 2 stars because I love the hockey boys so much. And I love, like, they're so funny together. You'll understand when you read it. There's a scene with a hot tub and a pink dildo that cracks me up. And you're going to understand it later. That's what I'm going to
That's literally all you're giving me.
It's not bad.
Wow.
It's not, like, super sexual. It's just so funny.
All right. Well, I guess we'll find out. The next book that I read was A Spark of Light by Jodi Picoult. Mm-hmm. Wow. This one was some tough material, which is always like Jodi's kind of writing. She always touches on some rough and tough stuff that you gotta kind of muddle through. This one was a hostage situation inside of an abortion clinic, and one of the negotiators, his daughter ends up being inside, and it was just like real and raw and like
very timely.
Honestly, I want to give her credit for like giving such a biased, like, instead of giving such a biased opinion, because you finished the book not really having any kind of, like, I don't know how she feels about the situation.
You don't know how she feels about like abortion?
Yeah,
or anything? Okay.
I have no idea, because everything was portrayed so beautifully through the characters.
Yeah,
I have no idea. So that one I really.
Whose point of view is it from? Is it from the shooter? Oh, okay.
It skips different chapters, different whatever.
I think I have it on my TBR. 4 stars,
because it wasn't anything like mind-boggling.
But it was written well.
Yeah, it was very, very.
Yeah. So the next book I read was Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren. This was just released when we're filming this. I think it was released like a week ago. maybe even a little less than a week ago. I don't know. But I love Christina Lauren, and I was excited about this one and then less excited about this one because, you know, I had to read the reviews. And it actually, for a Christina Lauren book, did not get great reviews. I liked it. I gave it a 4-star. It wasn't, so for those of you guys who don't know my rating style, if I give it a 4-star, that means I really liked it. Like, I very rarely give a 5-star. Only my absolute favorites of all time get a 5-star rating. So if I give it a 4 or a 4.5, it means it was really good. And I gave it a 4-star. I liked it. It's sort of, basically it starts off with these two young kids, or not kids, one's 18, one's 21. They meet on vacation in England, and they kind of lose contact because he betrays her. Basically, she's the child of a really famous actor, but she's in hiding because she doesn't want to be out in the public, and he sells her story to the media, and yeah, sells her out. And then they reconnect years and years and years later when she's an actress and he's a writer, and he's the screenwriter of a movie that she's starring in. And you quickly find out that the story that he wrote has a very personal connection to them. And it's, I really, really liked it.
I'm gonna have to check that one out.
You might have to check that one out for sure. It was really good. Wasn't my favorite by them. You guys know I love Love in Other Words if you've watched our videos before, but I really liked it.
So the next one was Our Water Graveyard by Christina Hart. Lord knows how much I love Christina Hart. This was such an interesting concept. So last month I read Ruin Me by her, which is a part of the Summer of Secrets. The main character, Kitty, is a writer. She writes poetry. And this was a poetry collection that was Kitty's, but it was written, you know.
That's so cute. I love that.
Christina Hart as Kitty.
It's like, for anybody watching, if you're a fan of Jane the Virgin, how they published that book.
Snowflowing?
Yes, under Jane's name from the show.
I loved Our Water Graveyard. Like, I could totally see it tying right in to Ruin Me, and like, obviously the poems, I love them because I just love.
And is it the same timeline? Did she write that in the book?
Yeah.
During? Okay.
Yeah, it's very just.
We're at 13 minutes.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So the last book I finished this month was Downfall by Willow Astor. This is also a new release. I gave it a 4 stars. I liked it so much more than I thought I was going to. Once again, it wasn't my favorite by her. I love 5,331 Miles and True Love Story. Those are my two faves by her. But for the subject, it was really interesting. It's kind of like a arranged marriage, future king and future queen sort of situation.
Interesting.
And I didn't think I was gonna like it. It's not a subject I'm typically interested in, but I really liked it.
Okay, so the last ones I'm going to group together because I tried to read some of the Twisted Tales books, and I'm going to tell you right now I've come to the conclusion that I just can't read young adult anymore. A Whole New World was the first one by Liz Braswell. 1 star. Absolutely, there was nothing about this book I liked. Like, maybe a little bit,
you would.
because I liked the genie, and then he was just done dirty in the end. Like, Aladdin sounded like an idiot. Jasmine sounded psychotic. Like, and I didn't really feel like this was a twisted tale necessarily because, I mean, the same thing happens in the movie. Eventually. I ended up continuing on to the second one, Once Upon a Dream, by the same author. I was really hopeful because the beginning started out, it was like more of a twisted tale. I really liked the story of Maleficent, and like, I felt like this was maybe going to lead up to an actual good book because it took it in a total different direction. I ended up DNFing it, and I don't do that often, and you'll find that out. Very rarely do I do that, but I was like, this is literally a waste of my time because the dialogue, while I get that it's for young adults, like, the dialogue is so outlandish.
I've like skimmed through them, and I've noticed that it's really adolescent. Like, I feel like it's almost kind of rude to call it a young adult. It almost needs to be like a middle grade, because I wouldn't even read that in high school.
No,
when I read young adult.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Like, I want to read the rest of the Twisted Tales, but too many of them are by her, and I don't like her writing at all. So,
yikes.
so sorry.
We're on this tear.
Cannot do this.
Yeah.
I am
I had a great reading month. You had a not so great reading month. Because two out of your 7 books were not good reviews. Mine were great.
Sometimes you'll have that.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Whatever.
Well, except for the one that I gave a 2-star, but we're gonna move past that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I liked the rest of the series, and I'm gonna be continuing on. I'm gonna start the Briar U this month.
Ooh.
Which is one of the hockey guys. It's his sister is the heroine in this first. Because basically the off-campus, they live in a house off-campus. That's why it's called like the off-campus. And it's all about the hockey guys, but they all go to Briar University. So there's the off-campus series and there's the Briar U series. All right, we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let us know down below if you've read any of these books or if you want to. And yeah, I guess we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.